well, the last time that I spoke to you, it was in the night time, and I'd just gotten some bad news, and I actually found it really, really difficult to speak about because up to this point I'd actually been really quite positive. But I found out that the other night I got a call from Carolyn. This is after I'd had that first lot of operations, which was the reduction on the right side and the preparation, the nipple flap delay on the left side. And I was waiting for Carolyn to let me know whether or not there was any cancer in the lymph nodes. And I got a call on Thursday night. Robert was at work, and just Sean was here, and which is my eldest son. He's about 27. And I got a call, and Carolyn said, "Look, I'm so sorry, Shireen. I hate to just keep giving you bad news, but actually it turns out that you've got cancer in the lymph nodes, in one of the lymph nodes that I've taken out. She took out 2, and it's about 5 millimeters. I'm so sorry." And you know what? I just said to her at the time, "Well, I'm okay. I'm strong, Carolyn. I can take it. That's okay. Thank you for letting me know, and it is what it is." And then I put the phone down, and that was the first time it really, really hit me. It hit me that this was real. And it was like it was just another blow. And I put the phone down, and honestly, I allowed myself my first big cry. And it was because I was so sure that it was just going to be in the breast and that was it. But I actually allowed myself my first big cry. And my poor son, Sean, was sitting next to me, and he was, usually he doesn't show an awful lot of emotion, but he put his arm around me, and I rested my head on his shoulder, and I just cried, and he rubbed my back, and he just said the most beautiful thing. He just said, "Oh, Mummy, don't cry." He just said, "It's going to be a really horrible year, but you just tell me anywhere you want to go, and next year I'll take you somewhere so you've got something to look forward to." And you know what? You always think as a parent that you're going to comfort your children. You don't expect that they're going to be sitting there comforting you. And it was actually a really poignant moment for me, and a beautiful moment, and it made me remember how blessed and lucky I am, even with everything that's going on. And he said the right thing at the right time. It made me feel better, and I picked myself up. And I guess the only thing was that I just wasn't sure how I was going to tell Robert that night, because it was actually his 54th birthday. I have to decide whether that's 55 or 54, 55th birthday that night, July the 18th. So I won't forget it. And I really didn't want to actually spoil his birthday. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to tell the man I love on his birthday that the one thing that he was holding on to, which was that it wasn't anywhere else other than my breast, it actually is. And it's just another piece of bad news. And this is coming off the back of, first of all, it was a 14 millimeter cancer. Then it was actually not 14 millimeters, it was a 28 millimeter cancer. Then there was a second cancer, and that was another 8 millimeters, and it was all in the left breast. And then there wasn't going to be anything in the nodes. It looked like it was clear. I'd had a CT scan, and that was clear, a body scan all over, and that was, showed no cancer anywhere else. But then having the operation, and we knew it was when Caroline was going to have this operation that would be when we knew for sure. But I think we both convinced ourselves that that was it. It was just in the breast, and that was it. So honestly, the lymph node bit that was actually devastating news for us, because it just hit the nail on the head that little bit more. And I'm glad I didn't come. I was actually going to diary on the night that I heard, but you know what? I was overwhelmed that night, so I'm actually glad I didn't. Because it only took me a little while, and then I was actually okay. I just had to think sometimes this journey is about allowing yourself moments. Now, people have kept saying that to me, and because I think I'm such a strong woman, I think I'm fine and that I don't need to, but God, you really need to. You need to allow yourself time. You need to be able to just breathe and give yourself some time to be able to try and get your head around what's happening, because it happens in such a whirlwind. It happens in such a big whirlwind that you're just going along for the ride, and you're having to believe what everybody's telling you and do what everyone's really telling you, and everybody's got good advice, but you need time for yourself, and you just need to give yourself some time. And so anyway, that night, probably this was one of the hardest things I had to do, and that was I didn't tell Robert straight away, and I didn't tell him because, as I said, I didn't want to spoil his birthday. So I was holding it in, and all the time I had all these things going around in my head like, no, you need to tell him, you need to share it with him. He wants to know. And then, oh no, don't ruin his birthday, because it's going to be a memory that he's going to have for the rest of his life on his birthday. That was the day he found out that, his wife had cancer in her lymph nodes. And I actually really struggled on it for a while. And then, anyway, later that night, I held off. And later that night, we went to bed, and I thought, just wait till 12 o'clock, wait till midnight, let it be the next day, just do that. And you know what, honestly, I was struggling, and I realised I just couldn't do it. I actually had to tell him that. I had to share it. I had to share that moment with him, because it's a journey that we're going through together. It's not just me, it is him and I. And so I just remember turning to him. I made sure we'd just gotten into bed, and we would just relax, and we'd gone, okay, we're in bed now, and done all the faffing. And then I just turned to him and I said, Robert, Caroline did actually ring today, and I had lied earlier. He'd asked if she rung, and I said no. But I said, look, she did ring today. I'm so sorry, darling, but yeah, it actually is in my, there is cancer in the lymph node. And honestly, that was the first time that I saw Robert cry, because he'd been being so strong for me this whole time. And seeing him crumple up and cry, I felt so sorry for him, because he's having to deal with this. His whole, he loves his family. If you understand my husband, he loves his family so much. We are everything to him. Nothing else matters to him. He doesn't care about being the best business person or achieving wonderful things in life and everything. His family is his achievement, and he protects and looks after us so beautifully. I'm so lucky. And so for him, his world is crumbling. My world is crumbling. And you know what? It was horrible watching him cry, but I was so glad, because he had the opportunity then to get out some of the emotion that he'd been carrying. And I'm sure as the person, as the carer, it's got to be so hard. I mean, as the person with cancer, you get all the attention and the, oh my God, are you okay? But people have been saying, oh, how's Robbie, and things like that. But really, who supports the carer? And that's another thing that we need to talk about. Who supports the carer who's going through this? Because it's got to be hard on them, because they've got the pressure of not only looking after the person who's sick, but also keeping everything else together, making sure the kids are okay, running the house, running the business, things like that, because we work together. It's got to be really hard. But what it has done, and I'm going to say this, is it's actually bonded Robert and I together. And we've been working and living together for the last 26 years. We've hardly been apart. But it's actually bonded us on an even deeper level that I ever thought was possible. It's actually quite beautiful. Through tragedy, there is always some, what do they say, through adversity, there's always some good that comes out of it. And if it was even humanly possible, I didn't think so, because I'm in love with my husband. I love him so much. But we're even closer, I think, now than we were, and we've hit another level of love, which is really beautiful. And we really had, going back to the story, we had a really good cry together. And I think that was really good for both of us, because it kind of, I think we'd both been trying to be strong. We'd both been holding it together for the rest of the family. And this allowed us to actually just let go and actually accept what was happening, and then go, well, you know what? It's another blow, but it's just another hurdle to cross. We just get through it. we'll get through it. And in fact, we became, I think, probably more resolute from that moment. We'd allowed ourselves to have a moment. That was great. We had a good talk about it all, and we probably spent about an hour just talking afterwards and what it would mean, and tried to probably cover some of the fears that both of us were thinking. What would it mean to our children? What does it mean to the business? What does it mean to my recovery? How long will it take? You know, because it also means now, because it's in my lymph node, that I've actually got to have chemotherapy and radiation instead of perhaps just the chemo, which upset me. Not because I don't want to do the therapies, I know that you have to have them, but it just upset me because I know it's a longer path to recovery and it's a harder path to recovery, and I've never been worried about the operation. I've only been worried about probably the recovery, and it is the way I am. It's because I'm thinking about my business, I'm thinking about my home life, I'm thinking about all the things that I'm normally in control of that I'm not really in control of anymore. And I've got to get used to that. I've actually got to learn to let go. And that's actually difficult for me, but I'm trying and I'm learning. And I actually have started doing it. I've started realizing that I am actually going to genuinely have to put myself first to get over this, so that I can then get back on track and be what I am normally to everybody else. Yeah, which is not the way I normally roll. So anyway, okay, so I'll leave it there for now. But yeah, that was pretty big. That whole situation was a pretty big moment.